Well, hello, this is Linda Carbonell from Life School 101. I am the producer and co-host of this show, with Mary Adams as co-host. Today we're going to be talking to Jeff Cloud. Jeff Cloud is the author of the book, Waking Up in the Dream. And he is a self-mastering mentor to many. He's also a musician, great music, and an artist. Love his artists. He teaches a man group and teaches people tools. Some of the things he teaches is how do you become mindful, opening your mind, and making a conscious awareness of your ally instead of your enemy. And as far as Mary goes, Mary happens to be really good friends with Jeff. I know just a little bit about Jeff, seeing some of his YouTube videos and stuff, and you really inspired me, Jeff. I just got to tell you that. I mean, it was like automatically I connected to you even though I never met you. But I would like Mary to begin with to start talking a little bit about your two adventure together. And then we're going to get some information more about you, Jeff, okay?
Thank you. I'm honored to be here with both of you.
Hi, everybody, and so glad to be here with you today for another segment of Life School 101 TV. And I have one of my favorite guests and one of my favorite teachers. I met Jeff in 2012 through Facebook, saw that he was also part of the Toltec programs that involved the Four Agreements and Don Miguel Ruiz, and through my teacher, Heather Ashamara. And we created a very sacred friendship. We created a real connection where I have had the opportunity to be me, to be real, to be vulnerable, to be sad, to be happy, to be angry, whatever that is. And Jeff taught me how to hold that space within a sacred relationship. And so my connection with Jeff is a deeper friendship than I have ever had, because he knows me for real. And he still loves me.
That was one of the things I was going to say, Mary and Jeff, is you can totally tell that you both are effective in each other's life as far as an inspiration. And I am so glad that I'm meeting you through Mary. Mary is one of my greatest inspirations, too. How I'd like to start this, Jeff, is that, my audience doesn't know you or know much about you. I would love it if you could tell us a little bit about your past when you were a child up to what you're doing now as far as all the wonderful things that you're creating. And I'm going to have Mary ask you a few questions, too, as you go through, if that's okay. Mary and I will ask you questions. Is that okay?
Absolutely. Thank you for the nice introduction from both of you. I'm really honored to be here. Mary's such a dear friend, and I respect her so highly. She walks her walk and talks her talk, and I have nothing but just the highest admiration for her and the way that she shows up. So honored to be here. A little bit of my background: I grew up in the Midwest in a town called Cincinnati, Ohio. I had woods behind my house. I was a nature boy every day. I was put into Catholic school at a very young age, second grade. So the programming, the fear, the separation, the shame, and the guilt from 75-year-old nuns was hot and heavy from day one. So that's part of my upbringing. Second major thing that happened in my life was I came home from school one day when I was 7 years old and found out that my father had been killed in a plane crash. Mm. So there was no possible way for me to process that information when my uncle came out of the house and told me that in the front yard. I didn't realize it until years later, but I actually shut down and made some decisions at that point. I don't exactly remember what the exact decisions were, but probably something around, why did my dad leave me? Why did I make my dad leave me? How come I don't have a dad now like all the other kids? So this stuff obviously affects us. Although my mom did an amazing job at raising me, putting me into good schools, moving to a beautiful neighborhood. I got into sports at a very young age, swim team, diving team, played soccer for many, many years. And so, as with most of the people that I work with, we have things happen to us when we're children. We come into this life as unlimited human beings. When people look into a baby's eyes, they see the universe. And that's why they're always enamored by that. And then sometime around the ages 2, 3, 4 through 7, on and on, we start to take on programming. Yeses, nos, do this, don't do that, don't touch the stove. Whatever it is that is downloaded to us, through our parents, through our relatives, family, school, we take these things on and they become our programming. And so this happens to everybody. And we've been taught in this society through thousands of years of conditioning, we've got fear in our DNA. We've got unworthiness in our DNA. We're prone to run on judgment after judgment after judgment. And so what happened is I went through several relationships with some amazing women. I've been very blessed in my life because I'm a very heart-based person. But I didn't have the tools to navigate through these relationships and my judgments and my programming. So I ended up moving out to San Diego with my second stepfather, who was an airline pilot. And growing up in San Diego was an amazing place to grow up. But because I had two stepfathers and I didn't have that deep connection with both of them, I ended up moving out on my own before I turned 17. So I learned a lot of things the hard way. I learned a lot of great lessons and responsibility as well at a very young age. What I still didn't have was, the best way I can describe it is, in this society, we're pretty much taught how to think. In many cases, what to think. We're not really taught how to process our emotions. And this is so key and so big. Getting a little bit of echo back for some reason. Anyway, what ended up happening was I ended a relationship of about 5 years with somebody that I really was close to. And we were both in a lot of pain. There was a lot of drama. There was some drinking and drugs involved, typical things. And the 4 agreements popped up on my radar a couple times within about a 60-day period. And so what ended up happening through synchronicity is my mentor, Don Miguel Ruiz, was living in San Diego, as well as his family. So I went to hear him speak. And the first time I heard him speak, I was like, this man has something that I desire. And so I didn't really have the money to go and hear him speak at all the events, but I was an award-winning recording engineer in San Diego. So I approached him and I made a deal with him, and he saw that I was hungry. And of course, being the amazing, loving man that he is, he was like, okay, Jeff, that will be fine. So that started what is now a 17-year relationship with Miguel, his sons, the other Toltec teachers in the Toltec family. So I apprenticed with Miguel and a small group of other people, which included Heather Ash, Francis Rico, Ginny Gentry, a lot of the what are known as the top teachers that are out there now, Alan Hartman. And so I did that in a very close-knit group for about 7 to 10 years. And so that's where, go ahead, you want to ask a question?
Sorry. I just wanted to say, so all these years that you taught with Miguel, was that, what did I hear you say, like 17 years that you worked with him? It's
2018 is my 17th year.
Yeah, that's what I thought you said. What a long time. So you put a lot of work into this. The other thing that I want to make sure my audience knows about you too is that you are a teacher. And I want to say about men's group, I want to talk about that a little bit and what specifically that is, because that is one of the greatest works that you're doing, but not to say that you don't work with women and men. But there is a special part of the men's group. And I was wondering if maybe you could talk about that part and what you offer, because I'm seeing you on a show that I saw you on, I could see how you could connect to men because it was just, I mean, it was like, you know, when you get a feeling when somebody's able to really help even a group of people, kind of like my specialty would be being able to help others that have mental illness like me. So could you talk a little bit about that part of what you do right now?
Sure. And then I want to go back to the tools, which leads into the book,
Yeah, for
Waking
sure.
Up in the Dream, because they're really key. They're really, really key, game-changing, life-changing points.
Right.
So currently, I'm a lead coach for a group out of the UK called The Powerful Man. It's a world-class group where we take 6 men on a 6-week journey, and we go deep. There's a ton of men's groups out there where you can increase your income, lose weight, health, fitness. We cover all 5 areas in our program as well: self, health, wealth, relationships, and business. The difference between this group is we have the tools to go in and deal with the childhood wound. We don't advertise that because personally, I don't think a lot of people would sign up for it. So the cat's out of the bag on this interview. But the bottom line is anybody can make more money. Anybody can get a girl in a relationship. Anybody can lose some weight. But if that underlying subconscious program, wound, or block is still running, it's going to cycle and it's going to affect every single one of those gains every single time because it's running the show. So the beauty of the work that I do with the Powerful Man, and also I created a 6-week Mastery of Awareness course for men and women, is all of these tools that I've learned from Miguel and the other teachers, as well as going deeply down the rabbit hole, using plant medicines, my own pain and trauma, working with people that have been molested, abandoned at birth, sexual abuse, alcoholism, you name it. There's a key component and a place to go to through asking specific questions that I've learned that gets me there every time, as long as somebody's willing to show up.
Well, and Jeff, you do that so well. You're so powerful in the space that you hold in that container. I have the opportunity that I get to work with him all the time. All I have to do is go, "Hey, Jeff, I need to talk," and he's right there. But you know, when you are able to guide people through these possibilities, through these opportunities, it creates a complete and total change in your life. You were telling me about a woman that you were working with recently that had the most amazing transitioning into what she really wanted to be and in creating her own awareness and authenticity. Will you share that with us?
Oh my God. Makes me want to laugh because I don't remember who we're talking about. I work with so many people and they all have amazing breakthroughs.
Yeah.
I think.
All right, well then pick one.
And thank you for the kind words, because you do it so well yourself that I love witnessing when you speak and when you talk and when you do the work as well. So really, again, it comes down to somebody willing to go deep. And that's all they have to do. They don't have to remember what happened, because the questions that I ask are always going to lead back to that place. I've just learned how to do it. I don't claim to be any psychic guy or anything at all. It's just that in the past year alone, I've been blessed to work with people every single week, minimum 2 to 4 calls a week. And the calls with the groups are 2.5 to 3 hours long. So those 6 people get mirrored big time, and there's no escaping going into whatever the subconscious block is or the childhood wound, because there's no point in doing the program unless we get to the root issue. So all somebody has to do is be willing to show up, and this can bring up fear for people. It brought up fear for me. I used to get on that stage with Miguel on these 3-day dreaming weekends. You'd have to get up there and share your fears, your doubts, your contractions, your unworthiness. But what I've realized, especially in my own life and the people that I work with, the pain of not going in and meeting that just becomes so great that it's like, you know what, I just got to do it. And then what ends up happening in every case, no matter how long you have to work to kind of clear it, because the memory is always going to be there. You can go in and dismantle it with love, with mirror work, and with the tools. So to give you an example, people take on what their parents kind of hand them, if they have parents. A lot of people that I work with don't even really have their real parents, so they never had that loving, deep connection that a lot of us did have. So the first thing is going in and identifying that, and then giving the tools such as mirror work that I started doing in all night long matotes with Miguel back in 2001, 2002. We had a lot of men in the group. So there was no fake little pity pat hugging. When we go in for a hug, it's a real hug. And a lot of men have been taught that it's not okay to feel another man. It's just a block. It's a frickin' programming block that you're not a man. If you go in for a hug, then take a breath and then let it out and really sit there with another person's hug, man or woman. The reason people pull back is because they either have a block or a program, or the other person might be bringing in some kind of weird energy, and it could be either one. So we need to look at both sides of that when we're sharing our energy with somebody. But what I've learned is to keep my heart pure and open, be willing to look at my stuff. So I know I haven't answered your question with the specific girls example. If you could refresh my memory, I'd be happy to. I don't remember what this person's specific profession was. But again, it just comes down to showing up with an open heart and just going, you know, there's something that I really want to do, or there's something that I really want to get past. And I'm just willing to reach out for help and do the work. And it happens very quickly. It happens actually on the first call. The rest of the 6 weeks are tools, trainings, and really massive support in inviting somebody forward in a very safe environment. Because we're in safe private groups that nobody else can see when we post videos every day. And it's the most powerful way to work besides being in a private group in person that I've ever experienced. So this technology is a real massive blessing.
And Jeff, I just wanted to say, you're going to be doing a part 2 actually today that is going to go more into tools and techniques and things like that. So we're going to have wonderful. Part 1 this week. I'm going to have part 2 next week. Before we go any further into this, I want to bring it back to your book, because you started talking about your book, and I want to get more into it. What the book offers us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So the book is called Waking Up in the Dream. Mm-hmm. To be perfectly honest, I never had an idea to write a book one time ever in my life. Never. Not one single time. We okay?
Yeah, we're fine. Go ahead.
Okay. So I never had an idea to write a book. And like 2 years ago, I just start waking up late at night and just start downloading. Then I started, at first, I wasn't even writing it down. And I'm like, I'll remember that in the morning. And of course, I never did with the detail and clarity that I have when I wake up in the middle of the night when everything's quiet. So I learned to either put my phone in airplane mode next to my bed, or I would actually just have to get up, turn on the computer, get blasted with massive white light in total darkness, and just type it out. So it just started coming together very easily with the tools and with the experiences that I've experienced of stuff that just absolutely works. And so I shared it with a couple people, and they're like, you have to put this out. And so I'm like, okay, the people that I shared it with, I absolutely implicitly trust. So I did. So what this book is, you can read this book probably in an afternoon. It's only 106 or 108 short pages. However, I didn't really want to compare it to the Four Agreements because that's Miguel's masterpiece. This picks up on what I learned from the Four Agreements and then takes it even farther down the rabbit hole into conscious awareness. So the best way I can share the aha moments in this book is I made it as a roadmap that I wish I would have had when I was a teenager, when at one point I contemplated suicide. Mm-hmm. because of the pain that I was in. So when I met Miguel, a big aha moment was I realized that 99.9% of my beliefs were not even mine. They were all put there by media, church, and other people, my parents. So what I did was I started dismantling all of them. And this book teaches the very simple tools, if you apply them from moment to moment, to become the watcher of every single thought, judgment, reaction, and trigger, and take 100% ownership for it, because people out there are not doing it to you. They're a mere reflection. Yes, I will say, if somebody's physically abusing you verbally or physically, get out of the relationship, find a way to get out. But the external world is a mirror. So it's time to drop the victim mentality and take 100% ownership. And I'll be happy to go deeper into that on the next segment.
Ooh, powerful stuff. Powerful. I love it. It gives me tingles because it's the truth.
Are we done?
And it sets you free. The truth sets you free. It allows you to live your life from this place of purity where you're doing it from your own decisions. You're doing it from your own choices and beliefs, which is amazing. And so thank you, Jeff. It's so powerful to have you here. And I want to thank everybody out there for joining us today and for being a part of this broadcast. We do this because of you. Life School 101 TV is something that is brought together through CATV, Linda and I and Chico and a bunch of other people that are interested in getting good information out there. So thank you for being a part of it. I would like to give Jeff just a moment to share his message of love.
Okay, thank you. Thank you to all of you, wonderful hosts, and also everybody behind the scenes that makes this work. I've done a lot of audio and video work as my background, so I know what it takes, and there's a lot of unsung heroes, so I want to give them a lot of love to make this all happen. For anybody watching this program, if this resonates with you and you'd love to get on a 90-minute to 2-hour, very in-depth breakthrough call, I'm willing to offer that at a half-price rate. And also for anybody that is interested in the book, Waking Up in the Dream, just reach out and PM me, Jeff Cloud, on Facebook, and I'll give you a coupon code for half price on either one of those. And I promise you, you will have some aha moments, and especially on the breakthrough call. I guarantee it. If you don't have a massive breakthrough, I'll refund your money.
Wow.
No questions asked.
Wow.
No questions asked.
Well, you know, and I want to say, too, in wrapping up here, is that this has been a great teaching show for me. So I feel like this is going to open doors for a lot of people in my community and over the world that have wanted knowledge such as you're sharing. Because we all have questions and we all want to know, how do we improve our lives? How do we do this? How do we do that? So to have teachers like you on here on Life 101 is great. And I do appreciate you, Jeff, a lot, just as I appreciate Mary. Both of you are just inspirations to myself. So anyway, we do have to say goodbye for Life 101 today, but however, Jeff has agreed to come back and do a part 2 for next week. So anyway, I would like to say goodbye for Life School 101 and join us next time. Jeff will be back next week. Goodbye.
My little girl, well, she means everything to me. She can lift me up, take me down. She can see inside of me, and I'm all rolled up inside her little arms tonight. There's no other place I